Hey, I'm Champaign native Emily Harrington. You're watching the podcast where townies and transplants share their tales of tears and triumphs, losses and wins, proving week after week that everyone has a story to tell. Welcome to HyperLocals. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the next episode of the HyperLocals podcast. I am very excited to introduce my next guest. I'm trying to keep our nerves under control, and we're trying to be cool, calm, and relaxed. So this is April McClure. Hello, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for coming. Thank you for reaching out. You seemed tentative about whether I would be interested in your story, and 100%. Yes, I'm interested, and I'm here, and I'm excited to get to know you better. This is the words that come out of your mouth, you're very thoughtful in what you say and how you present yourself. And I think that's a really commendable trait.
Thank you. I'm trying.
You prepared me for the interview, which I love. Okay. I absolutely love. So there's no apologies for anything here, okay?
Yeah.
I'm just glad you're here. April, what's your maiden name?
Sturts, actually.
Oh, it is.
My dad is Chuck Sturts.
Okay, your married name is McClure.
Yes.
Okay. And we briefly touched on where you're from, and that's kind of a story within itself. Mm-hmm. Born in the Dakotas.
Yes.
Okay. North Dakota?
So North Dakota, Grand Forks, North Dakota. Grand Forks is an Air Force base.
Okay.
I don't remember a lick of it other than photos that I've been shown. So there was lots of traveling really up until my mid-20s.
Okay.
So lived in probably 8 places or so
Wow.
in between. And so, yeah.
8 places in your formative years.
Yes.
How did that shape you as a person, as a friend, as a partner?
I felt really blessed and fortunate to be able to be in some of the places that I lived. Lived out of the country 2 different times. So my dad met my mom when he was stationed in Korea, South Korea. So while I was born in North Dakota, we went back to South Korea for another leg of his military career.
Okay.
And I went to school there. And when we moved back stateside, I was probably starting 2nd grade and didn't know a lick of English. But so that was amazing. I do remember some of those times.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful place, and my mom lives there today. So,
oh, really?
I don't go back and visit or anything like that. But that's just like one little part. When we moved back stateside, we were actually in Missouri for a while. So we were stationed in Whiteman Air Force Base, and so it was home of the B-2 bombers. And I felt my dad was also security forces, so he was a police officer, so it felt very safe. I guess living on any and all of the military bases, I always felt really safe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it was the life I knew.
Sure.
So very safe and secure. And we were at Whiteman for a pretty good stint, long enough for my mom to open up her own business. So she actually had an Asian grocery market.
Oh, wow.
So if you remember, we have some here in Champaign. Yeah. So I think I could describe hers like the green onion that we had here.
Sure.
So she opened up a Korean grocery store, and then it was not set up for any kind of restaurant or real kitchen situation, but she did to-go orders. So she got enough to-go orders and enough fans of her food that people were like, you've got to open up a restaurant.
Wow.
So then she opened up a restaurant. She kept the grocery store, then restaurant. And so I kind of got to grow up a little bit with that too, which was really cool because just being around it and like just Korean culture and the type of food, like it's very, very communal. I remember my mom having like little dinner parties at home, cooking at home. And so food has always kind of been... Both of my parents cooked. So my dad was the Central Illinois biscuits and gravy, breaded pork chops kind of guy, morel mushroom guy, and my mom was like Korean barbecue to the table and very, very fun, interactive. Like I said, communal food. Always really happy memories around food, I think. So.
And what's interesting is your mother would show you the way of being a female entrepreneur. You and your sister, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Which would come into play.
I feel like your parents always want better for you, right?
Oh,
So
sure.
Restaurant work is hard.
Yes.
And so I always felt like she's going to kill me if she knows I even am thinking or entertaining culinary school. So that came later on, and that was kind of my own decision. But yeah.
So you would kind of settle a little bit in Monticello, and that's where you graduate high school. Is that right?
So Mattoon. So my dad
Mattoon.
is from Mattoon originally. After all of the moving around, we ended up coming back to Mattoon because his mom got sick. So I was kind of planted back here for a time.
How did that feel, being planted back here?
It was really hard to make a lot of moves between, I was in Missouri from 2nd grade to 5th grade.
Jeez.
So, I mean, if you imagine like
forming all these friendships.
Yeah. It was tough moving around as a kid. I never felt like that's something what I love about my life now is like feeling these roots planted here and letting them root deeply.
For your kids, for sure.
It means so much to me because
absolutely.
I have felt that I don't have that childhood home that I go back to. I don't have those childhood friends that I grew up with. And so, it was tough. But
what happens after Mattoon High School? After you graduate?
I married my high school sweetheart.
You did?
And then
Mattoon guy.
Yes. And
gosh.
Because he respected my father so much, he actually went into the Air Force. So I not only grew up a military brat, but then I continued to be a military brat. And so that was really interesting. So it was 2 years in Arkansas and then 2 years in Turkey. And then coming back stateside from Turkey was really interesting because that's kind of where my culinary journey started a little bit. So
you marry your Midwestern high school sweetheart, and you're setting yourself up for a life of travel again.
I felt, yeah. And it was, even those times were tough. He's a great guy, high school sweetheart. We're not together today, but
I thought this was going to be happily ever after.
No, it's okay. I have no ill will. It's just, when you grow up so quickly. I was also the oldest child.
Sure.
There was a divorce with my family. Like life, while there were pockets of happiness in my childhood, it was very chaotic when my parents divorced. It was not like a good, clean,
amicable. Okay.
Yeah.
What stage does that happen?
That happens, I'm probably 9 or 10.
Oh, okay. So, earlier on.
I'm the oldest sibling, and so I jump into instant mommy, wifey role.
For sure.
Because my dad keeps us. The end result is that we are raised with our dad, not with our mom.
Okay.
She gives up her citizenship, her U.S. citizenship, and moves back to Korea.
Okay. Is there bad blood there, or you understand that decision?
I understand that decision now. I think, as a kid, it's just too hard to wrap your head around. You feel more abandoned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like abandonment, or what's wrong with me, or why did this happen? And to be honest, I feel like I went into a bit of a survival mode because my dad was so depressed from it all that I had to kind of help pick up the pieces, take care of the kids. I cooked, cleaned, and did laundry from a very, very early age. So I had to grow up really fast. And so you think about all of this while we're in the midst of getting ready to have more moves. It was just really tough. It was really tough. Puberty was a nightmare for me.
And your dad probably wasn't prepared to be a single dad of how many?
3.
3.
So he was not equipped. I don't, today I look at my parents and there's so much just peace and forgiveness. There's peace and forgiveness and understanding for decisions that I didn't understand as a kid.
Sure.
Really tough stuff. And so I sometimes I look at my life now and I think, how could it possibly be so good?
And this is why it's so important for you to have roots and stay where you are. Yeah, that security and safety.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, with saying that your dad primarily raised you, now when you said home is where the heart is and it's where your dad was, I understand the context of that so much more. So we graduate and the culinary school route, how does that come up?
So 2 years in Arkansas, then so 9/11 happens. And my husband and I at the time stationed in Arkansas get orders to go to Turkey. So we're going to the Middle East. And it was really shortly after 9/11. It's not, you didn't want to go prancing around in your Old Navy t-shirt. And, you know, but the culture and the country was beautiful. It was just not safe at times. I really have a love of learning other languages and culture and food and all of these things. So we did a lot of traveling there. I took a language class, like I took college courses, business classes, but I kind of never really knew what I wanted to do after graduating because I had grown up fast. I was instant mommy and wifey, so I knew how to take care of people. I took care of people, and then I was a young wifey to my high school sweetheart, my husband then. But I felt like there was never a something for me. That I was always taking care of other people's needs. And I knew one thing, I was also really good at cooking. And I thought maybe I can turn this into something. You know, even though I didn't grow up with my mother, I still had those really fond memories and really strong memories of food, being around her restaurant and culinary, all this. You know, they say those memories are the strongest, right? With the smells. And so
I want to pause here, and we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, you sense that this culinary school is going to be your direction.
Yes.
Okay, so we will continue there when we come back. Hello, and we are back from our first break. Okay, we're in Turkey. You were developing passions and likes for different cultures, different tastes, different smells. And this is going to lead to your next big chunk of your life, I imagine. Okay, April, where do we go from? We end up in Las Vegas. So what happens?
Yeah, and so when I was living in Turkey, we had met, found community. And when our 2 years were up in Turkey, all of us were kind of splitting up again and going to the next assignment. So I had a friend who was going to be in Las Vegas, stationed in Las Vegas. We got orders to Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
And as I was scouring and doing research on places in South Carolina, I thought, oh my gosh, there's a Johnson & Wales, a culinary school. I'll apply there. I'll go there. Totally had my husband, totally had his blessing to like, when we get back stateside, you do you. Like, I encourage it. Like, you need something for yourself. And so come to find out, we get stateside and Johnson & Wales closes their doors.
Oh, no.
And so in the meantime, like this whole like journey through the military again, like Shane and I had never been separated. We had always been stationed like together. He never went off for 9/11 stuff. And we were never apart. So knowing when we got back to South Carolina, the culinary school closed its doors, and then also knowing very upfront that he is going to have to go back by himself to do a separate tour. Like, so we were going to be separated
for the first time.
Yes. And so my girlfriend who went to Las Vegas, the same story. Like, her husband was actually going to be with my husband. At the time. And so we're like, let's be roomies. She's like, come on out to Vegas. There's a culinary school.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's kind of how all of that came about. I thought, well, we'll help each other. We can lean on each other. But yeah, this was going to be my chapter. Thing. Yeah. So Le Cordon Bleu is located in Summerlin. I had done the tour. It was beautiful, and I jumped right in, and I really was thriving. I loved it. I loved even like, not just like the hands-on cooking part, but the actual like textbook. Like, sit down and give me a test on this. I like this stuff. And the cooking was great, but I did come to find out a lot of people that were there at that culinary school, they were just really there for their love of like baking and pastries.
Okay.
And I was more of like a savory cook or
Okay.
chef. I'm more of like, I don't want to follow a recipe. I don't want to be told how. I just kind of want to throw things together and be creative. And so I met a really good group of people that carried me through my baking and pastry portion of culinary school. Well,
So that you
I
had
helped
to
with
do
all
that,
the savory.
no matter.
Yeah,
okay.
it was
okay.
just it was like built into the program.
Okay.
I will say the part of baking and pastry I did like was once the
Eating it.
Well, once the cake was finished or once the thing needed to be decorated, whatever it was, that was
Oh,
the part
sure.
I liked.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so that was a really great adventure. Towards the end of the program, we were told in order to graduate, you had to have an externship lined up.
Okay.
And a lot of people were nervous about that because some people, I think, waited too last minute to secure something, and that meant you needed to be working in a restaurant.
Okay.
And I mean, Vegas, like it was, you had your pickings really, but could you get in? Where could you get in? You know, the culinary school program was pretty big. And so I thought, I don't know, one day I was wearing my uniform from head to toe. You have a Comey cap and the white jacket and the checkered pants, and I had to look like a total nerd, but I was walking through Caesar's Palace.
Oh my
and
this is the tall hat. Is it a tall white hat?
this one is a short one because you don't get the tall one until you like graduate. But,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But so I see it's a Wolfgang Puck restaurant. It's called Chinois. And my heart was already, I grew up with like this fusion already, right? Breaded pork chops, biscuits and gravy, and then bulgogi and kimchi, And so Chinois is actually French for Chinese. So this was a French-Chinese fusion restaurant.
Okay.
Under the Wolfgang Puck umbrella of restaurants. He also had Spiaggia as well. But anyway, I walk in from my head to toe gear thinking, I'm going to just go for it. I'm just going to just try. What can be the worst that can happen? And I belly up to the bar. The restaurant's completely empty. And the head chef gives me the time of day. I didn't know that was going to happen. So I secured my internship. He's like, when do you want to start? I was like, oh my gosh. I think I was one of the first in my group of my study buddies to secure my externship. And it felt really, really good because that turned into a job, and I worked there eventually and worked my way around the restaurant. And again, towards the culinary program, there's a restaurant. And so we are it's a student-run restaurant.
Oh, neat.
And so we get to do every position in the restaurant, front of the house, back of the house, all the little cooking stations that you learn about, and a little bit of exposure to wine and spirits. Not a lot.
Okay.
But I felt like the wine and spirit thing was very interesting too, although the culinary program wasn't super focused on it. I do feel like it was a really cool introduction. We had maybe one wine class and kind of front of the house class.
But that was enough to ignite an interest in that subject.
Yes.
Okay.
And had I gone deeper into that at the time, I think that could have really been something.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long are we in Vegas?
So I graduate in 2006, so I'm there for a couple of years.
Okay.
I come back to Illinois because I'm kind of just done with Vegas. I am, at this point, no longer with my husband.
Okay.
Him and I separate. And it was really, I think this was really key to part of just kind of finding myself, if you will.
Yeah.
We had never been separated before. We were together since we were 14 or something, I didn't know who I was outside of a caretaker.
Yeah.
Growing up really fast, marrying the first person that was like my dad, you know, I didn't know myself outside of that. Mm-hmm. And so as scary as it was, I was the one that asked I was the one to kind of walk away.
So absence did not make the heart grow fonder in this scenario?
No.
No. It made you want your independence.
It made me want my independence, my freedom. It was very eye-opening. And you think about Vegas, and you can think about all the movies that you've seen, Life in the Fast Lane, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like, I had my head in the books.
Okay.
I had my head in the books. I wasn't a gambler. Did I have a couple of like little wild nights? Like, okay, yeah, maybe a couple, but not enough to like throw me off track.
Sure.
Of like my focus.
Yes.
And a career. This study buddy group I built meant a lot to me. They were so encouraging. We ended up doing catering gigs together.
Oh my gosh.
We were all successful, kind of just in our own ways, like even branching out. But the final for me to leave Vegas was I got into a car accident.
Oh, okay.
And so I said, it's time to go home.
Okay.
Like, I miss my family.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Like, I'm picking up the pieces like again. I was already trying to reestablish myself after being married, you know, and like, so it was, I felt like I was just like picking up the pieces like again, and I just needed my family support. And, to be around them. So I faxed my resume from Chinois to.
Oh, you're still at Chinois.
Yeah, I'm still at Chinois.
Okay.
From in Vegas, and faxed my resume to the only place that kind of came up with my searches. That was similar, and that was Cofusion.
Oh, how funny.
And so before I moved back, I had pretty much established a job.
So this is the downtown Champaign location?
Yes.
As it was? Okay.
Yes. And it was really cool because she calls me up and she's just like, wow. I mean, she got my resume. I'm like fresh out of culinary school. I feel like I've done it all. She's like, wow, do you want to make sushi? Do you want to be in the kitchen? Do you want to do front of the house? I'm like, I'm picking up the pieces, and I have a student loan now. So why don't we do front of the house?
You need that tip money.
Because that's where, yes. And so in order to keep my hands on food, I decide to also take a job private chefing.
Private chefing in addition to Cofusion.
Yeah. So nighttime was front of the house. Daytime was hands-on food in someone's home.
Okay. And we're going to take our second break. And when we come back, we will pick up with that private chef experience. Okay. And we are back. Okay. April McClure, you're commuting 45 minutes into Champaign to work Cofusion and private chef. You're back living with your father.
Yeah. So I'm back from Vegas, living at home for a time. I already have a job set up in Champaign, going back and forth, and I just need to reestablish myself. Before I get the private chefing gig, I was doing, I was at Cofusion. I was actually also took a banquet gig at Hilton Garden Inn.
Oh my gosh.
And so they were very, very long days. In between shifts, I would sleep in the Walgreens parking lot right there.
No
I
way.
would change for my evening shift at Cofusion. And then during my Cofusion days, a friend of mine who knew my background and, you know, my passion, she like slips me this little newspaper clipping of a family looking for a private chef. And she's like, you should just think about this. And I'm like, I will. I totally will.
Yeah.
So I'm Cofusion now at night, and I go to interview for this family. They give me a shot. They invite me into their home. I'm sitting in a chair, and her name is Emily. She's interviewing me.
Oh my gosh.
And I have to tell you, I was nervous, but when she told me we can't have, don't want, we don't eat spicy. By the way, mom's got Crohn's disease, like all of these things.
That's a chef's nightmare.
Yeah. I was very honest with her. I said, Emily, I got to tell you everything that you just named, that you said I can't cook with, are things that I really love to eat or cook with, and this is just really tough. And I had to think about it, and I thought this is also going to be a challenge.
Sure.
So I said, I guess this is going to get me out of the box of what I know.
Oh, wow.
So for this reason, I will accept if you're willing to have me. And I was in their home for almost 5 years.
No
I think.
way.
Yeah, and I had added a family for a time, another family for a time, because with Emily's family, I did all the grocery shopping too. So I would get a list, and they were very, you heard about some of the restrictions, but also everything was organic.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was really kind of fun to spend somebody else's money on all these beautiful ingredients that I, normally wouldn't have. gotten. But
So what was that schedule like? Are you there in the morning and
Yes.
setting them up for the evening?
Yep. So they would always want lunch and early dinner.
What
So
a
I would
dream.
be prepping like 5 days a week in their home every day. And then I would jump over to my night shift job at Cofusion. Eventually Cofusion wraps up. I meet a really cool restaurateur in town, and I'm hearing more and more about Bakro, and I meet Thad.
So previous
think
guest,
it
so
was-
go listen to his pod.
Yes. And so I think I want to say I was at Seven Saints or something, but, for the longest time, for the 2 years I was at Cofusion, I didn't go out afterwards. I was too tired.
Oh, sure.
I had a 45-minute commute. There was no high-fiving and going out for the drink and the afties. Like, that was not my life. I was very focused on picking up the pieces and getting myself reestablished. So it was like nose to the ground. I'm sure everybody just thought I was just so stuck up. But not to mention being fresh out of culinary school and just naturally calling the chef at Cofusion like chef instead of, I was very kind of straight out of culinary school, like kind of by the book.
Yeah.
And people were giving me all kinds of who is this person? Who do they,
You were just focused.
And then I was peacing out at night. I wasn't really I wasn't trying to make a lot of friendships then.
Yeah.
But eventually, I kind of start to come out of my shell and establish myself. And I also meet lots of other people who just work downtown.
Sure.
I think that's something that I really love and miss about those days is the camaraderie is unreal. And the same thing with just being in the kitchen, those kitchen days, right? And so Bakro comes into play, and I end up being at Bakro, I think, for about 4 years as well.
Wow. Okay.
And it was family, if walls could talk, the fun that we had, the food that we had, the people that would come in. I felt like Bakro was that place to be seen. People wanted to be seen. And if you had Mr. So-and-so's table at these times, that's a big no-no. Those are reserved for certain people.
Funny.
And I really felt in my element as far as just food and wine and this access to wine and learning. And I felt really encouraged and supported, especially by Thad just being go and take that wine test, April. Go do it. You've got this, So that was such a cool experience. I loved it.
There's an intensity and an intimidation factor with chefs. Do you find that in yourselves and in your experience with others? The chef.
It's interesting. Yes. I feel like I also just got to take it back because it's really hard being a woman in the kitchen.
Okay, sure.
Okay, right? So it was I had to be one of the guys.
So, okay.
It wasn't pretty. There were Bourdain moments, very Bourdain moments. You've read the book Kitchen Confidential. There is a culture, a very specific culture.
So it's a lot like what you do see on reality TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say it was a lot more in Vegas.
Oh, okay, sure.
Than what I saw here professionally. But here it was good. It was just, again, that camaraderie.
Yeah.
The all in at the end of the night. All the tickets are in and the job is done. All even family meal after. It was just so good. We were all close-knit, and it was, that culture of the high five at the end of the night and then going after.
Satisfying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going out after.
After a job well done.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens after Bakro? Are you still private chefing? It's about the same time?
My dad passes away.
Okay.
While I'm working there.
And so what's your age?
I am mid-20s.
Okay.
Maybe.
And where do you work when your dad passes away?
I'm at Bakro.
You are? Okay. So this is going to be a pivotal point to our story, the podcast, and your entire future, really, because a lot hinges on what happens with your dad.
Yeah.
Okay. Suddenly passes away?
Suddenly passes away.
So how can you explain that?
So just looking back, I just feel like a total jerk sometimes because that moment that my family was trying to reach me, my stepmom in particular, my phone was on silent.
Oh gosh, that's yeah.
And it was a middle of the night situation.
Okay.
So I probably wouldn't have gotten it anyway, but I woke up and I had missed so many messages, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have got to get down there as quick as I can. And I felt like I just had lunch with him. Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, sure.
And my stepmom said, you know, like he had like a seizure in the middle of the night, called the ambulance, like rolled him over, all this stuff. And he's in the hospital down there in Mattoon, but they can't do anything. Like he's hooked up to all kinds of things, and they are just like, this is out of our, like, we have to send him somewhere else. Like his brain is swelling. There's things like shutting down or not responding, and there's just all kinds of confusion.
Okay. We're going to take our third break, and when we come back, I want to know, because you're the oldest of three, and now you're in this pivotal, scary position with your father. So we will talk about that when we come back. And we are back. Okay, April. This milestone moment has happened in your life. Your father is well towards the end of his life in a sudden way, and you guys have to make decisions where he goes, what to do, what next. So how do you facilitate? How do you navigate that? You're the oldest. We're the other two.
Yeah, and so my siblings and I were all a little scattered. My brother was in the military for a time. My sister was out west in Colorado. We all have to get together, and we can see that my dad's hooked up to all kinds of things, and the hospital there can't give us, there's just, it felt so confusing. There were lots of tubes and information that his brain was swelling and that they needed to transport him. So he ends up going, I want to say it was OSF in Peoria.
Okay.
Some of the details are a little foggy, but I think we're all just like, how did this happen? What happened? How did we get here? And just in total shock.
Sure.
It's kind of like, did he have a stroke and a heart attack? And, you know, they couldn't quite answer. The one very clear thing that I felt like I was trying to understand when they said there was like no brain activity. I remember someone sitting me down in front of like this like x-ray screen and saying like, here's your dad's brain, here's a normal brain. And in the normal brain, there was highlights and grooves and everything, and dad's brain was like blacked out.
So that you could understand that, wrap your mind around that.
Yeah.
Do you have the power then to make further decisions on his behalf?
Ultimately, it was my stepmom.
Oh, okay.
But we're all together. We're all talking about options. We're all talking to him. We're all I think saying our goodbyes.
So you're able to understand where you are in this position and where we need to go, and then it is time to say goodbye.
That it's not possible for them to do anything else.
Okay.
And that he can't just stay hooked up. And like just holding his hand and being bedside and just kind of taking our turns. I had a moment of selfishness of kind of like looking down, because my dad was a handyman too, and seeing his hands calloused and just thinking, you don't have to work this hard anymore.
Yeah. And that is not selfishness.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm not happy about this. This is not, there was no there was no warning. Him and I had just had lunch at his favorite spot here in Champaign. And I'm so thankful that, you know, even though growing up was difficult, especially after the divorce, that we were always a very loving, kind of touchy-feely, emotional family. And so that last lunch I had with him was almost going to be like a super quick, high five, love you, Dad, talk to you later.
Yeah.
It was going to be, that's the direction it was going.
Sure.
Because I had stuff to do. I was reestablished now. I was, you know, busy. And the thought even crossed my mind walking away that day as it was going, as I could see where it was going, like this super fast, casual goodbye. And I was like, no. We hug. I hug my dad. We say, I love you. We do those things. Why is this time any different? And I'm so glad that I did.
Oh, yeah.
And that we did, because that ended up being the last time I saw him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And so, you know, after these hard decisions were made and that we had to like let him go, there's just a swirl of decisions like coming in that we had to figure out.
Right.
Like, we were just trying to process what had happened.
And you're in your mid-20s, is that right? So did you feel like, I'm too young to deal with, I mean, I'm not old enough to deal with this yet.
You know what? I think that there's an unsaid or unspoken like pressure that I put on myself as the oldest sibling, that I was supposed to have more of the answers.
Yeah.
That I should have been more prepared for this. And that my siblings were probably looking to me, even if they weren't realistically. You know, I had grown up as, you know, in a way, their mother. I had to like relearn to just be their sister and chill out and like just be their sister. But I know that they still looked to me that way. And so I felt like I should have had more answers or maybe had more of a grip on this. And I didn't know more than either one of them. And so, yeah, so many things had to get figured out. And there was really no will or preparation
because it was so unexpected
for us. Yeah, and he had just turned 54. My dad had just turned 54. He bought his dream Harley. He had plans to do the Sturgis, all of that.
Oh, wow.
You know, there towards right before losing him, a lot of our casual conversations would kind of turn a little serious in a way. Not in that he was like confronting me and saying, I could hear him saying, I'm sorry for a lot of things without saying, I'm sorry for a lot of things.
Amazing.
Because I didn't know how to raise a girl and you're the oldest. And he had to lean on me to feed the kids and get the laundry done and all of the things. Like I could sense that. Like it was kind of threaded in some of our last conversations. And I was just kind of like, it's okay, Dad.
Yeah.
Like, you need to take care of yourself now, you know.
But still, that must have felt cathartic. Even to read between the lines in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Where do we go? Your dad's now passed. There's a sudden onslaught of decisions. In your personal and professional life, what's happening?
I let my family I'm cooking for know that I needed time off, as well as Bakro, because those are the two things that I was doing. He passed in 2010. And again, like had just turned 54. I didn't have everything figured out. I was, just trying to make myself available to my family. And I'm grateful for the time that I took off.
Sure.
And so many people rallied around our family. And so many of my dad's friends just coming out of the woodwork to express their feelings. And my dad was always a funny guy. He like grew up kind of like the classroom clown type. He was the youngest of three. So he was the baby of the family. Again, like class clown, always joking, like all the dad jokes you can think of, like that was his spirit, you know, a very happy-go-lucky guy. Also very much a giver with taking care of his mother when she started to get ill. And so these were a lot of just beautiful things that people kind of came out of the woodwork to just
explain.
Yeah, and remind us of and share these memories of a class clown thing maybe we didn't know or hadn't heard that story yet. So it was really beautiful the way people
showing your dad in
out.
different lights.
Yeah.
You said the after you take some time off, the wine industry picks you up, plucks you out of retirement, early retirement.
Yeah. So I didn't realize I was waiting on a table that was actually kind of coming down to potentially offer me a position in their distribution company of wine and spirits.
Okay.
Somebody had threw my name in the hat to somebody, said this girl really is very passionate with this industry and learning wine. She's already learning wine. And so in 2013, I let them know that I was going to be leaving Back Row and jumping into this distribution opportunity, which was amazing. And right around that time, while I'm still working at Back Row, my future husband walks in. Didn't know him from anybody. I'd never seen him in there before. But he comes in and he is sitting at a table with some other folks, and we eventually meet and just start off as friends.
Okay. We're going to take our final break. And when we get back, we will pick up with, now you've met Matt. You describe him as the love of your life. So you're just meeting him for the first time. When we come back. Okay, we are back. Okay, April just took a big sigh and said, we don't have a lot of time. But I said, I'll get you there. Okay, wine and spirits industry for 13 years.
13 years, yep.
You have now wed your second husband, the love of your life, and had kids.
Two girls,
Iris and Lily, which I love the names. You're going to come to the realization that you want to change industries. Tell me about that decision.
So COVID had happened and obviously exposed a lot of cracks. I will say in the beginning of this career, the first 5 years, I loved it, rocked it, fine wine, all the things. As COVID exposes a lot of cracks. I also am at this time really feeling a desire to be home with my girls or be closer to my girls. I have a desire to leave a legacy should I be gone the next day. What are my girls going to be seeing me doing? And it's not going to be the liquor industry. And it was really difficult because this career really was such a Cadillac package.
Yeah. Sure.
During these times, my salary and the insurance, I held all that from the very beginning of our family starting. So something kind of had to give. So I was already kind of going in that direction of slowly breaking up with that career and that identity I felt like I had found in that industry. And so I am, personally praying for those things, a legacy to leave for my girls if I'm gone tomorrow, for me to be closer to them and for me to be able to do purposeful work and help people.
Sure.
Which essentially leads me to GiveWillow and a startup company that my sister starts up.
Okay.
So,
today you're the chief engagement officer for this business, this startup company. How long has the company been in production?
So my sister first built the platform prototype back in 2017, 2018.
Okay.
But we officially launch in February 25.
Okay. So
very new.
Yeah, very new. One of the more unique services I've ever seen. And it makes 100% sense. Do you want to try to describe it?
So GiveWillow is the first and only funeral registry that is out there. It's a platform, so we live online. Our team is small. We're a bit scattered. And
not scattered mentally, scattered across the nation.
Yes, yeah. Okay. Location-wise, we have no real home base, I guess you could say.
Got it.
And we exist because what we walked through with losing our dad unexpectedly and just being in a place with a lack of resources, not just financially, but in so many other ways. This exists from that experience, essentially.
Such a smart idea. And simply put, it's picture a baby registry where you might need diapers and essentials, but this could be for a casket, a gravestone. You sent me a couple examples, and one of them had like a gorgeous memorial basketball court for this particular individual in his name type thing. So the idea is no more casseroles and flowers that will come and go, but something that is really a necessity for the family because you feel so lost in those times.
Oh yeah, you're in a fog. You're in a state of grief and shock, and you need things. You may not know what you need in that very moment that somebody asks you, because you're going to have a long line of people waiting to give you a hug, give you condolences, give you that very generic elbow embrace, that lean in and say, let me know what you need.
Yeah.
Well, back then, being in the midst of that moment and thinking about what we needed, $7,000 just doesn't roll off the tongue when somebody asks, and back then when we lost our dad, it was, and I still feel like there's a piece of culture, there's maybe like a rudeness about it.
Oh, sure.
Like culturally, we don't ask for help. We don't need that. Or pride gets in the way, right? But if you don't divert and label and name those things that you actually need, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of flowers and casseroles.
Yeah,
that's just kind of the way it's been. And we have already, as a culture, modeled what we're doing now through our registry. So, a young couple gets married and we want to tee them up to have a successful marriage and first chapter of their lives. So what do? We jump on their registry and we check these buckets for them because these are the things that they need. These are the things that they're requesting to give them a proper start, or give them a proper, first chapter here.
Right.
Then that same couple goes into parent mode. They're going to have their first baby. And what do we want to do? We want to tee them up for success, a successful journey in this next chapter of being a parent. And so we get on their baby registry and we check off those needs that they want. And so why in such a dark, non-joyous moment of loss and grief do we get silent and it be so still and so dark and gloomy and default to things that they might not, like they're beautiful gestures and traditions that will never go away.
Sure.
I really don't mean to knock them. It's great to want to feed somebody. It's great to have beautiful flowers show up. Those are all very well-intended things. But if we could give the givers a choice, or let them know what those needs really look like, we've seen people show up in other ways. They want to give where you need. And that's not always financial. We really believe that time is a gift as well. And so if you are walking through loss and grief and, you don't have to set this up for yourself. A friend, a family member could do it for you if they're, a little bit more clear of mind to help you navigate. You're not alone in this, and you can list off the things that you need. And again, it's not always financial. It could be a memorial. Everybody's funeral registry that has come across to us, no funeral registry is the same to another. They're all very unique circumstances.
Right.
And so they can all look very different. And again, not everybody's need is financial, but, these days when people are, already kind of hurting in a lot of other areas and just trying to get by, funeral expenses are real, with average funerals being $8,000 to $10,000.
That was my next question. Okay. 8 to 10 unexpected dollars, mostly unexpected, that you'll need to come up with in order to give the the gravity to the situation that it deserves. Okay. Tell me about the box. And these sat in your car. This story I think is really, really sweet.
So my sister had started GiveWillow, had launched GiveWillow, and I was very much still in my career and the thick of mothering, and still am. But she kind of knows I'm entertaining as something else, and knows that this something's pulling at me, and she says, I'm going to send you some boxes only when you have a spare moment. These boxes are ready to go. You can just drop them off and leave. No pressure.
Sure.
And so I have every intention. I've got these boxes riding around with me in my car to make a quick drop off. She said they are drop off friendly. Again, you don't need to do or say anything. And so they are riding around with me, and I finally get a chance to open one up. I hadn't actually opened one up, and I let some time go by before I did that because life kept getting in the way.
Sure.
And as soon as I do, I just really kind of become undone because of how beautifully designed it was, the thought behind it, the story it was sharing. Like, this stems from personal loss, our personal loss, and the lack of resources that we had. And no one should have to go through that. And
it just solidified your decision.
Yeah. And I also, it also was like, it is not like me to do I cannot just go drop this off.
Yeah.
I have to speak to this.
Yeah.
I cannot go and drop off a piece of my story and my life.
Sure.
And not explain the heart behind this.
Right.
And so it's very special. It's very important. It's for anyone and everyone. You know, it's, again, like, it's not just for a lack of finances. We've had people reach out to us, again, with unique circumstances. Like, at minimum, somebody was able to bury their daughter, but did not have the money in that moment to get the headstone.
Sure.
Can I come and do this with you? Or, you know, we've had a couple of really impactful local registries here in Champaign-Urbana where we saw community show up. It's something that I love about our community. It's like, I've seen them show up, not in these two circumstances, but in some of my very own experiences living here. And so we're a community of resources. We know how to support, and this is just this is a platform giving them the space to properly support a loved one who is walking through grief and loss, who's going to need something, or people are going to want to show up somehow. They just don't know how.
Yes. And instead of saying, how can I help? What can I do? You just do it. It's just easy for you to just do something.
Yes. And it allows the family to organize and grieve without the constant pinging of, what can I do? How can I help you? You send out, you make a registry, you send out one simple link. This can be public, this can be private, you can share it, you can social media, you can text it, email it. Like, we make this very simple.
Sure.
It's also very, very phone friendly because especially our generation, like, I feel like GiveWillow is kind of built for, like, the millennial generation.
Okay,
our parents are the ones that are aging and that we're thinking about, right?
Sure.
And so we're the ones that grew up in the world of Facebook and all of that. Like, we know how to communicate. We're actually also a generation of people who are a little bit more free to talk about death and dying.
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
really hard things, but they are still really hard things to talk about.
Where can people find GiveWillow?
So GiveWillow.com. We also have some socials. I am personally in this area, so I have done some talks locally in the area as well. I've reached out and met with Carl NICU recently, Salt and Light to do a class. Churches, our local churches, you know, churches are seen as a place of help and hope. And so,
You
so
really want to be a resource.
Yes.
Above all else.
A resource.
Yeah.
A free resource, yeah.
Okay. April, I hope you think this went well, because it went real well. Okay, you did a great job. Is there anything else you feel like we didn't capture?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I could always Well, I like to talk about
something
this.
you love.
Yeah.
Well, it's very apparent, very apparent. Okay, GiveWillow.com.
Yes.
Okay, very easy. Thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Bye. Thank you for listening to this week's HyperLocal show. If you like what you hear or you need anything from me, let me know at hyperlocalscu.com. Also, search and follow HyperLocalsCU on all social media. Like me, follow me. Bye.